Hello everybody. We have another color and chat today. Anytime you see the rose windows busting out, me busting out the rose windows, you know we're gonna chat. I have chosen this particular one today for no reason other than it just looked good to me, and I am going to use number 380 from, my fingers are peeling so bad, I'm sorry, 380 from the Coloring Cubes. And I'm going to be using Black Widows today. So, also I have my gray ratty Miss Piggy sweatshirt on. So, no pretty sleeves today. Sorry about that. For the, let me see, because I'm using different ones from every set. So this indigo blue color is from the Black Widow 78 Starry Night. The purpley color is from the Dragon set, Ruby Rose, Dragon 159. The bright pink is going to be from the Black Widow set, number 46, Cyanide Pink. The orangey color is the Dragon Light Rust, Dragon 132. For yellow, we have the Skin Tone Light Set 004 Sunburst. And my green is from the Scorpion Irish Green Scorpion SC45. So those are the shades we are going to use. And this was the card I chose because we've been gardening this week, so I thought it would be perfect. Very pretty. Very like Roy G. Biv, right? So I'm going to set that card right there and we're going to get started. I'm going to do green. I'll do yellow I always start with yellow in the very middle. Anyways, so I thought what we could talk about today is the controversy that is everywhere you look right now of coloring hobbyists using professional art supplies in adult coloring books, and why it seems to have everybody up in arms. Oops, I already went out of the lines. Look at that. See, this topic has me all Twitter-pated. So it's funny because a few days ago I was looking at YouTube and there was a suggested video in there from somebody that I'm not subscribed to. And I think it was a channel that does reactions, maybe, or maybe it was an art channel that does like reactions to videos. And they were talking about the TikTok trend of, the Bold and Easy books and buying up the giant 300 plus sets of Ohuhu markers, and how the overconsumption of these, and I'm going to turn my book a lot when I do this, the overconsumption of supplies, and how the TikTok, Color Talk, I guess is what they call it. I'm not on TikTok. They have no plans to ever be on TikTok. But I am aware of Color Talk and all that kind of stuff. Basically, it was just about that. The overconsumption, using the professional grade products in coloring books, and, what people thought about that. And, it definitely presented itself in the topic in a negative light. The idea of hobby colorists like myself using professional artist grade materials in coloring books, and why would we even want to do that? And it's just not necessary. We don't need those things, and blah blah blah. I'm sure you guys have seen or heard some videos like that. And I usually, my normal modus operandi for any type of video or Facebook post or anything, I don't engage. I just don't. I'm not that way. It gets me too worked up and it makes me miserable, right? It just makes me unhappy. So I don't engage. However, I was looking at the comments section in that particular video, and somebody had commented, they were an artist, and they said they didn't understand why someone would use alcohol markers in a coloring book or acrylic paint pens. Those were the two things this person specifically mentioned, why they would use those items in a coloring book anyways. And so I engaged. Even though I always say don't engage, I engaged. And I said, I'm a hobby colorist. I've been coloring for 10 years now. And a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us use alcohol markers in the Amazon printed books because they can make a base for us to lay pencils down on top of, and it looks smoother because the Amazon paper is so rough. And that I used alcohol markers for that reason. And then also I said I use acrylic paint pens for accenting things, or just like I like them in a color by number, that kind of thing. And the person replied to me very politely. There was no kind of like nastiness at all in this interaction. They said, well, alcohol markers aren't good to use in coloring books because Amazon printed paper and cheap paper in general will wear down the nibs on alcohol markers. So if you're using them and you're not using marker paper, it can really ruin your markers quickly. And I said, yes, that is why I personally do not use expensive markers. I use cheap ones and ones that had been sent to me for review that are an expensive brand. And that's kind of where it stopped, the interaction. The person was and then somebody else had commented that it was interesting to them to hear from somebody like me who was not an artist or calling themselves an artist, but and how they liked to use, why I like to use these items. And I also said, before coloring, I never considered myself an artistic person at all, and coloring has really opened up the world of art to me, and I really appreciate that. So that was a positive interaction. But for the most part, people were up in arms and outraged about, the whole idea of hobby colorists using expensive materials, professional grade materials in a coloring book. And I have to tell you, so then today I was having coffee this morning and I saw in my suggested video a video from Cat and Paste, and I'll link her channel below. Now, I'm not familiar with her channel, so I don't know a lot of channels now because I was out of the loop for so long. But I watched her video, and apparently she had done a video unboxing and swatching an Ohuhu set of markers, and it received a lot of negative feedback and a lot of negative comments in that because of that whole crowd that doesn't think that the peasants like us are allowed to use what the art royalty uses. And she deleted it. And so, but then she was, explaining why she deleted it and now how she kind of wished she hadn't deleted it or whatever. And I did subscribe to her. Actually, I ended up subscribing to her. So that was good. But, here's my thing. And this is a rambling video, as my usually color and chats are going to be, because I thought, I should write down some points. Yeah, no, I just fly by the seat of my pajamas that I'm wearing right now. But, I don't have an issue, obviously, with hobby colorists using professional grade supplies in coloring books. Do I understand an artist, a professional artist who makes their living, or a student, an art student who needs these items for their classes in their art instruction, do I understand the frustration when these supplies like the Ohuhus are sold out and they can't get them for months at a time because coloring hobbyists have purchased them? Yes, I absolutely 100% understand their frustration. I totally get it. If I needed these supplies and I wasn't able to get them either, it would frustrate me. It would make me mad. I would feel begrudging of those people that had purchased these items up on a whim or because it was trendy. I absolutely get it. But at the same time, if you want to buy something to color, if you want to spend the big bucks on Copics and then use them in coloring books, dude, that is your right. You can spend your money however the bleep you want to spend it, okay? There are no rules. There is no rules at all about this. And I'm really bothered by the gatekeeping. Now, obviously, I am a coloring person, so I'm going to go on the side of the coloring hobbyists, more than the professional artist side, even though I can understand their frustration 100%. Everybody has the right to purchase whatever they want. And here's my issue. Back in the day when I was in college, we would have, I would go to the bookstore, the college bookstore. This was before everything was online because, I went to college in the late 80s, early 90s. You got a list of materials. Do you hear that noise? That's my cat. I'm sorry. If I shut the door, he's scratching on it, and then if I leave the door open, then he comes in and he is becoming a menace. So I apologize for him. Stop it. So anyways, there was a college bookstore, and you would have a list of things that you had to get, and your supplies, and you would go to the bookstore and purchase what you needed for your classes. But nowadays, everybody buys everything online. We all have access to everything. Hold on. Stop it. He's very playful. He took off running. So people don't just get their supplies from one place anymore. Art supplies or any kind of supplies, right? Everything's available to everybody online. That's just the way that it is. And so everybody has the right to go on the Ohuhu website or go on Amazon or go wherever they want to go and purchase whatever they want to purchase. That's just the way it is nowadays, right? That is the way life is. Whether you like it or not, that is the way it is. I think there is a lot of gatekeeping going on right now with that, and I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I get the reasoning of, the frustration if you don't have access to supplies that you need. But I don't get the animosity toward people who color and we're not allowed to use these nice things. It just doesn't make sense to me. The hostility that there is. So that leads me to believe that there's a few things going on. Number one, I think what it boils down to is envy. I think that seeing, people who are artists, especially a lot of times they struggle financially. The art is their passion, and that's what they want to do to earn a living. And sometimes it's not always happening. It's not always feasible. And I think there's a little bit of envy because they might be struggling a little bit, and yet here's some middle-aged woman who is a stay-at-home mom, and she just puts it on her credit card, or she can afford it on her debit card or whatever, and buys this supplies without a second thought. And I think there are some envy issues there. You know, I think that people are a little bit envious. Like, you know, they're seeing this and thinking, well, you don't really need that. You don't have to have that. You don't deserve to have that. I'm the one that's trying to make a living in art. I'm the one that needs that, you know, that kind of thing. Another thing I think, okay, wait, before I go on to the other thing, I'm going to be 100% transparent with you guys in my rambling way that I am. I know about that envy because I have experienced that envy myself. So years ago, like 2018 or so, I would say, I don't remember exactly when it was, when coloring was like at the heyday and we were all buying everything, it became very trendy for colorists to purchase the Holbein pencils. At that time, you couldn't get them on like Blick. They were only available from Japan, I think. And they weren't available open stock or anything like that. And they were expensive. Now, I think they're still expensive, but yeah, they were around, I think, like $300. I can't remember specifically, but I want to say they were around like $300. And there were several people in the coloring community who had the Holbein pencils. Now, I wanted the Holbein pencils. And I could have got the Holbein pencils. I could have charged them on a credit card. I could have bought them if I wanted to. But I personally did not feel comfortable with that purchase because I felt like that was a lot of money to spend on pencils when I was still a beginning colorist, when they weren't available open stock, you know, and just that was a lot of money to me. But even though I had the ability to purchase them and I chose not to, I still experienced envy when I saw people coloring with them. You know, a lot of people, they were my friends even, that had these beautiful pencils and I wanted them and I could have had them, but I chose not to, but I was still like poopy about it, you know. You know what I mean? I was still like bratty in my own mind. Like, I wasn't mean about it. I wasn't mad at those people. I just thought, why do they need to spend that much on pencils? Who needs a $300 set of pencils just to color in a coloring book? But that was sour grapes. It was sour grapes, okay? 100%, I'm being honest with you, it was sour grapes. And once I kind of put myself in check and said, listen, girl, this is not you. This is not the kind of person that you want to be. If you want the stupid pencils, get the stupid pencils, but don't be pissy and begrudge anybody else that has them just because you feel bad about spending that much money, right? So after I kind of realized that, I gave it up, the idea of it, and I don't think about them anymore. I really don't. Now, if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, Ann, here's a set of Holbeins. I was gonna go put them in the dumpster, but if you want them," well, I'd be like, yeah, right. But I mean, other than that, I'm not interested in them. Not really. I'm really not. Of course, they're beautiful and everything, but I don't think about them. I'm thinking about the chromaflows now. Everybody that knows me on the coloring world knows I'm thinking about the chromaflows, but I am not thinking about the Holbeins. So that's my little experience with having envy about somebody having really expensive pencils or artist grade pencils when I don't. So 100% transparency there. And if you want to think I'm petty for it, you can. But, you know, I dealt with it. I admitted it to myself and I got over it and moved past it. And I'm fine. 100% fine. But another thing that I think that there is I think that artists, there's a lot of artists that work really hard, maybe on TikTok or YouTube, and they don't get a lot of success with their channels. They don't get a lot of views. They don't get, you know, a lot of products sent to them. And coloring is so popular right now that it's like really taken off. And these people that do coloring are getting some really good channels really good views, really a high amount of subscribers, and revenue from that. And I think it's kind of sending a little bit of dismay through some of these coloring or some of these art channels on TikTok. I don't know what they're called, accounts, I guess. You look at people like Color with Claire, who has over 80,000, I think, subscribers on a coloring channel. Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal, right? I mean, it's amazing. And I think that people see things like that and they get envious of it. They get a little bit, mad about it, and they feel like it's not fair. And so I think one of the ways that they deal with that and that comes out is to get mad about us using the artist grade coloring supplies. Because seriously, if you sit there and you think about it, who in the heck actually says you don't need to use that pencil? You don't know how to do art. You've never taken an art class because you've never taken an art class, you don't deserve to use that Copic marker. You don't deserve to use that Holbein pencil. You don't deserve to use that Derwent ink tents. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, who actually thinks like that in this day and age? No rational person thinks like that. But when you bring envy into it, when you covet what you see these people using, it turns you. There's a reason why envy is one of the seven deadly sins. 100%, there is a reason why envy is a sin. And it's because it does things to us. It makes us ugly. You know what I'm saying? It makes us ugly. And I think that's a lot of what's happening here. I think there's a lot of envy going on. I don't, know exactly who's motivated by what envy. There's a lot of envy for different reasons. But I believe that it's the envy going on that's causing this drama. So that's just my take on all of this. So here's my advice. Don't engage. I'm not going to engage anymore. Even though the experience I had wasn't bad, I'm not going to engage. I'm not even going to watch those reaction videos or anything like that. TikTok has nothing to do with my life. What people do on Color Talk has nothing to do with me. I am not involved in that. And I'm just not going to engage. And I'm not going to watch any more of those reaction videos either. I'm just not. I'm going to stick to my guns here. I'm going to stick to my simple coloring. I'm going to stick to using what I want to use when I want to use it. And trying to go about my business and better my skill level and just be a good person and be a little ray of flippin' sunshine in the coloring community. That's what I'm going to try to do. So, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to work on. And you guys can do you and do what you want to do, but I just personally, I'm going to try really hard to just not engage and not to entertain that kind of nonsense, because it's just nonsense, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, none of this matters. I just realized I did a Halloween with the purple and orange together. My brain always is in Halloween mode all the time. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all such nonsense. All of it. Complete and utter nonsense. And we have better things to do with our time than entertain nonsense, right? So I didn't get very far in this book today, did I? It was just a short little color and chat I have going on with you guys. Definitely feel like you can comment or question below and let me know what you think about it, because I entertain other people's ideas, and I think everyone has the right to, say what's on their mind. Just be polite about it. There's no reason to be nasty about anything like that. And if I do get any nastiness, it'll just get deleted. But I have confidence that everybody here is probably pretty much in the same page. We all like coloring, right? We all like art. We all like art supplies. We've got a common ground. So there's no reason to be, hostile or anything like that. I don't know how I'm going to like this or not, but I'm going to continue it, and I'm going to just stick to this palette, and we'll see what happens. And I will post the final work when I have it done. But thanks, you guys. Thanks for listening. I wanted to get this off my chest, and I feel so much better now. And let me know what you think. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.